Springfield, I see you. What's up, Bo? Everybody come around, drop your names. Y'all already know what to do. Drop your name in the comments where you're tuning in from. What time is it there? All that good stuff. Let me tune my bass. Y'all already know the deal. I just finished my little morning stuff. Now y'all get to hear me in the rawness of the early morning playing. 6:30, yes sir. So you're in Central. All right. Got a little weathering going on. So in news in my studio here, I got some AC issues going on. So I see where it's slightly affecting the tuning of my bass. Sitting in this building, getting extra hot, and it's not that bad, but it's like the weather is changing. Total side note, for you guys who are maybe new to these instruments, be aware. Just a little tip, if you want to preserve the life of your instrument, just kind of be aware of the weather where you are. Don't leave your instruments in extreme temperature changes, whether it's hot or cold, because it does affect it. It affects the wood and all that kind of stuff. So you have to be mindful of that. Like, don't leave your bass or your guitar or any wood instruments for that matter. Heck, anything that you carry anything about. Don't leave it in your car. You know, I know cats that would like finish their gig and just zip up their instrument, put it in a case and leave it in the car all week. That's like not good, because that uncontrolled temperature is affecting that wood. This wood, it does change. It's still moving. It's still kind of, getting adjusted. Wear a shirt when it's hot, so you sweat on it. Yeah, all of that stuff, it definitely affects the instrument. Even when you play, if your hands sweat a lot, that's another thing that can kill. I learned that early. It could kill the lifespan, the lifespan of your strings. If you sweat, if your hands sweat a lot, you could be killing the lifespan of your strings. Like, my camera's a little fuzzy looking. Let me see if I don't know if that's my screen or if it's just a little glow we got going on in here. Y'all excuse this. I know this is not cool, but let's see if we can change that a little bit. Yeah, that helped. All right, cool. So yeah, I'm just kind of, I hope I got through tuning. Let's see here. I'm tuned standard today. I know if any of you guys watched the video of the shout lesson. Who watched that video, by the way? Show of hands. Who's seen the shout lesson that I put up this past week on Saturday, the weekend rather. I put up a lesson on gospel shouting music. If you've seen that lesson, let me know. If you haven't seen that lesson, it's totally cool. Be sure after this to go. Thanks, Stephen and Michael. But yeah, be sure to go and watch that if you haven't watched that already. But I was tuned how I normally tune in terms of my normal playing. I was tuned flat for that particular lesson. Of course, that was recorded previously, as like a few years ago when I did that shout course, because that's when I was still tuning down until I realized everybody didn't really understand it and it was throwing some people off, and then I started tuning standard strictly for the lessons. Morning, Tyrone. Good morning, Camelo. Okay, appreciate that, Bo. So yeah, I'm just kind of getting warmed up this morning, and I'll give some more people time to get in. I see you, Mr. Big. I'll give some more people time to get in before I really jump into this subject. I'm gonna play a little bit. Y'all know how it goes. But anyway, man, thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for being a part of it today. I know we're still getting ourselves together, getting the matter and the crust out of our eyes. I've been up for a little while, but I'm still trying to wake up. I did my exercise and everything, and still trying to wake up. So yeah, I'm about to jump into this. This is just a little loop that I created, and to see what kind of little noise I can make this morning. Get my fingers stretched out, warmed up. I got this other cool thing before I jump into that I've been doing. I know I mentioned to you guys who are looking for some other ways to practice. YouTube, man, YouTube is just a lifesaver all the way around. It's really cool. So something you can do is look up look up instrumentals. Look up instrumental. Just pick random instrumental, whatever genre you play. Something I found myself doing lately, as of yesterday. It's something that randomly came up for me. I pulled up like hip hop, trap beats and stuff like that. I know that's random. That's real random. Like this soulful funk gospel dude, and he's playing the trap beat. Funny thing is, I used to play with Canton Jones a long time. So, hi Jermaine from France. Man, I hope no frozen screen. I hope no frozen screen either. That was kind of lame on the last video. I had no control over that. I have no idea to this day what happened. But yeah, so I used to play with Canton Jones, and if any of you know Canton Jones, he's like a gospel rap artist. If any of you are familiar with that style, I traveled and worked with him on some recordings and produced with him and traveled with him for several years. And so in the hip hop world, I kind of like, I was full into it for a minute. Probably shocking to some of you guys. But if you have time, go check out Canton Jones, go see who he is. But that's who I was, one of the artists that I was working with for a while. Just traveling around with him, doing some things with him. So I guess that kind of sparked the interest. What made me, in particular, check out hip hop and check out the trap stuff was who was that? That's when I first saw you playing with him. You came to our church. Oh wow, that's cool, man. Where was your church at? I'm interested now to figure out where that was. So like when when I was playing with him, the thing I noticed, and that wasn't my first time hearing hip hop music. Obviously, I grew up hearing that stuff, but that wasn't my number one go-to music, but it was something that you couldn't get around. But one of the things I did notice was the rhythms that was happening, even the way that the rappers rap, like Richmond, Virginia. I think I may remember that. I don't know. Man, we went so many places. I'm pretty sure I remember coming to Richmond, though I don't remember in detail, because it was a span where we were like gone every week, 2 or 3 times a week. So yeah, but I'm sure I probably saw you and all that good stuff there. If I see your face up close again, I'm sure I recognize you. So, but yeah, man. So it was one of the things about the rhythms and that thing like that is how the rappers, they were rapping, even with this trap rap. To be honest, I don't really care for it. Yeah, I missed a comment here. Man, it's a shame. Serbia don't have gospel music. I wish I could see you play. Book me, man. Get somebody in Serbia to bring me over there. I'll come over there and I'll do some stuff and demonstrate some gospel and whatever else. Let's set it up. Let's set it up. But I was saying I don't really care for this new mumble rap. But the thing I do like about it, because you got to figure out how to, and this is totally off subject, but you have to figure out how to take something good away from everything, especially with all this negativity everywhere. We can be completely negative about everything, or we can figure out, okay, what can I take away from what they're doing to enhance what I'm doing? Because I don't necessarily like that mumble rap idea, but I do like the fact, they have this da 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 triplet pa da. It's like those are rhythms that you can apply to your playing, and when you're hearing a certain beat, you can start figuring out how to put notes to that rhythm that they're rapping. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and that don't even require you to really dig into it and really listen like that. I've just heard a few songs, and it's funny. I tell my wife, I was like, man, all that stuff sounds like me. It's like nobody's really writing anything creative anymore. But I had to kind of get out of that judgmental standpoint and try to see, okay, what can I pull away from what they're doing? It's very, very rhythmic, and I can apply this to my playing. Even like the old school rap, which if I'm gonna get into rap, I appreciate a lot of this older stuff, back. I'm not gonna start naming people because it will just be here all day. But like some of the old school cats, but how they rap and that the words and the rhythm of the words, just figuring out how they put these different in, like using a lot of triplets and using a lot of different rhythms over a regular like beat. You know what I'm saying? So using that type of stuff. Yo, everybody, greetings from France. What's up, France? France is in the house this morning. So yeah. Anyway, all that being said, start listening to these instrumentals. Start digging into some of this stuff, and you may find some helpful practice tips, some practice tools. Just put random songs on. That's what I was doing. I mean, I didn't even know the song. I was soloing through the chord changes, and some of them, a lot of them were simple chord changes. But I began kind of trying to solo through it. Once I figured out where the progression was going, I started soloing through those chord changes. For instance, we have a random track. I haven't heard this track yet. I had it pulled up. It could be something weird, but hey. All right, so it's in F minor. All right, so now I established the fact that it's in F minor. I'm sorry, F sharp minor. I keep forgetting that I'm tuning different. It's in F sharp minor, so that means we're relative to A major. So I got those options to pull from. I can pull from soloing over A major, or I can solo over F sharp minor, or minor pentatonic, however I want to do it, or I can solo over A major pentatonic, and there's a whole bunch of other options. Those are just the first main two that I can pull from if I wanted to start like just soloing and working over some rhythmic ideas over this type of groove. And again, this is not my cup of tea. This is not my first thing to turn on when I start practicing. But for the sake of breaking myself out of that whole box of doing the same thing over and over again, only being familiar with one type of music, only being familiar with one type of style, thinking one way, this is kind of how I've been lately breaking out of that. And over the years, I've done similar things that have helped me to break out of the same form of thinking, because for me, like I said, I grew up playing quartet music, gospel, all of that kind of stuff, and blues and a lot of soul, funk music. So hearing stuff like this is totally opposite of what I grew up, kind of listening to, but they're all related in some form of fashion. So there are some elements if I take from here, like I was talking about the triplet. Like, let me see if I can do it over there. Let me get it in my head. It's just like, that's a bad idea. I'm not bad idea, but a bad example. But it gives you an idea of kind of what I'm talking about. What's going on, Floyd? So, that kind of thing, just kind of listening to those type of things and the rhythmic elements and going against that and kind of thinking of how would a rapper rap over that type of stuff. Of course, you have to be familiar with some type of rap or something in that regard to hear that rhythm. And I'm sure a lot of you have already made fun of how they mumble rap. So there's stuff that you laughing at and making fun of, try to mimic it on your bass, but actually put real notes to it, and you'll be shocked at some of the stuff and some of the inspiration that you come up with just to create new stuff just by playing around. And that's the thing to me that makes it fun. So I said I was gonna play. I haven't done that yet. And here it is. I'm gonna play a little bit, and then we're gonna talk about this subject, not quite good enough. And I think it's something that's going to really hit home for a lot of people on here. I believe personally, if you're following me, I believe it's something that's going to hit home for you. So I'll play a little while and kind of wake up my hands and get some of the dust out of my hands, and we'll talk a minute. Be sure to drop where you're from if you're just jumping on. Tahiti, what's up? My finger's asleep. What we got here? That instrumental is out of my loop pedal. That's something to really kind of get the fingers waking up, that little same little pattern. Thanks, bro. And to be honest, this is really just warm-up stuff, and I'm just kind of doing these different patterns. And once my fingers kind of get to a place where I'm comfortable, I'll start blending them together in time instead of breaking it up like. You know, that kind of stuff. Start putting it together where it becomes more seamless than sounding like it's all broken up. This is one idea, this is one idea, this is one idea, this is another idea. The thing I like to do, I like to put it all together, especially after I'm warmed up. I like to put it together where it feels like it's something that's more seamless than me jumping around over here and then I'm doing something over here. I like for it to just kind of flow like a vocalist or a saxophone player. And it sounds more melodic, something that you can kind of follow with your ears, that's more pleasant to the ears than opposed to just feeling like I'm playing a whole bunch of chops and a bunch of separated licks that don't connect. I love connecting stuff. So this is just kind of me going through and really waking my fingers up and finding out a whole bunch of stuff, seeing what works, what type of ideas work with this groove. prevent from happening when I'm doing stuff like that, especially since I'm sloppy right now, early in the morning. And of course, the more you work with it, you can start moving that pattern around. So I'm doing, you're hearing this kind of circle pattern that's happening. I'm going. I'm sorry. Yes, sir. I see you. Who is that? Trying to get that. I see the abbreviation. And so it's basically a pattern that you're kind of going all the way around. Major pentatonic. You have to be careful not to play that four. You had a tendency to drop down on that. Adjust this a little bit. Here we go. And so that's really a lot of times how I come up with a lot of ideas. Of course, when I'm in practice time, I might spend a lot of time. Macedonia, I see you. What is that? What's up, Izzy? I might spend a lot of time on one idea, but what I'll do is I make sure I get that up under my fingers, and again, committing this stuff to muscle memory. So now once I move away from this particular idea and I want to incorporate it in real time, or when I'm actually playing a solo, this idea is under my hands and I don't have to spend a lot of time trying to develop this idea when it comes time to take a solo and that kind of thing. Because I might stay here for a minute on this one thing. You might say, man, you just spend a lot of time on that. Yeah, because when I get in a solo, I can take my time really exploring that one thing instead of going all up and down the fretboard and doing stuff that people are going to forget. If you can take a line and really spend time on that and kind of develop a melody or develop something recurring with that, now you have something as a soloist that the audience can kind of connect with. You create a theme that they can kind of connect with, and you start building stuff, and before you know it, it's things that start coming out of it, and you start hearing other little things you can go, and your solo becomes more interactive than just you by yourself, because that's a very lonely place to be. When you're taking a solo, just my years of doing this as an artist, when you're taking a solo on this, and this is nowhere close to my subject today, but it's all good. When you're taking a solo, a lot of times you can feel that absence of feeling like anybody is there, because a lot of times us as musicians and solo artists, especially on this instrument with this low frequency, it can just sound like we're playing a whole bunch of noise to people. But if you take them on the journey with you and you make a point to try to connect with the audience and try to give them something to connect to, it's like they can take the journey with you. And then if you kind of veer off the path for a minute and come back, they're still there, as opposed to you're just ripping and running up and down the bass. You're playing a lot of great stuff, but the only people that can really appreciate it is musicians. And in my experience as a solo artist, I'm not always playing for musicians. I'm playing for people who may be music lovers or people who don't get what I do. Just they know the bass to be. They know the bass for that kind of stuff. They don't know it as a solo instrument. So I have to figure out a way to bring them into my world without losing their attention. So I'll take a phrase like I was just doing, and I'll build on that phrase for a while until that gets locked in their ear, and then I start kind of adding more to it. I'll show you. Add some color to this. Simple, right? Now, to the musician critic, this may feel like I see I'm getting a little latency in my broadcast. Actually, the reason why it froze up on last week, we've been having some weather issues happening. But anyway, to the music critic, that might feel like, man, you're playing the same thing over and over again. It, in a sense, it is. But for me, it's intentional. It's not because I don't know 1,000 other things that I can do. I play a lot of the same kind of patterns until I kind of establish what I want for the sake of people being drawn into what it is I'm doing. Again, learning as a musician, getting all of this stuff, getting all of these ideas. I would play a lot of them when I would play out before normal people, and it's like people be yawning while you're taking a solo. And to you, it's like, man, this is the most amazing solo, and I got so much stuff I can say, but it's like a person that talks and goes on and on and on and on, telling everything they know in a conversation. What are you going to do? You're going to tune out. You're going to be bored. We oftentimes do that as musicians. We like to, especially once we really dig in and we've been practicing a lot, we have a lot of information and we want to share it with everybody. We want to share everybody how good we are, how fast we can play, how many notes we can get, in this section. Listen to the greats like a B.B. King or something like that. Solos were very simple and genius at the same time because there were things that connected with people. He may take a phrase and repeat that phrase and keep building off that same idea, that same phrase, and just keep, editing it, so to speak, as he goes until he makes his point. And that's the thing about, I think, solo. And you have all these things at your disposal as a soloist or when you want to take a lick or something like that. But the biggest thing about it is making a point when you do it, not to just be playing a whole bunch of random stuff just because you know a lot of scales, a lot of modes and all that type of stuff. Kind of make things make sense. All right, I don't went far enough on that subject, so I'll try to deal with that a little bit more. But here's the thing I wanted to talk about for the people that are still left on here, or you still hanging around in the replay. I wanted to talk about the fact I come from a mindset or a place career-wise and emotionally from a place of never being good enough. And what I mean by that, and this is what I was talking about, I know a lot of you will be able to relate to that. And give me some thumbs up, some likes, or something if you can relate. I remember growing up as a young musician. I came from a very, Lindo, I see you. I came from a very musical family, obviously, and that's a given for me. But that didn't give me a free pass to be a great musician. It's a complete difference. Coming from people think you have an advantage. Well, you came from a musical background. That's true. I did have a natural gift to hear music, but I've never been in earlier years really great. I was okay. I was decent. I was good, but not quite good enough. And that showed itself in when it came down to like band. I was in the marching band. I was in. I started. What's up, Thailand? I started playing in a band, in the band when I was in sixth grade. Started playing guitar, same thing. And I grew up around people who were never advanced musicians. So I didn't grow up in an environment where I was around a lot of prodigies or people who were just amazing. I was growing up around a lot of normal musicians. You know what I'm saying? Normal people who were just musicians on the side. So nobody really excelled at anything. It was more so just people who love to play. They play for their church or they play for this event or that type of thing. So I was never around any music professionals growing up. And so the mentality of really digging in and practicing or really spending a lot of time perfecting this and a lot of the stuff I talk and share with you guys a lot, that was non-existent where I was and how I grew up. And so it affected my playing. It affected my work ethic as it came to my instrument because I didn't have that motivation, that work ethic to know that, hey, I need to be practicing at least 2-3 hours a day, or the fact that I wouldn't work it anywhere. I need to be having a guitar or something and really, okay, I'm not really understanding the spam that's going on in the comments. You're about to get blocked, I think. So, who is that? Okay. Anyway, the thing about it, I didn't really understand a lot of what was happening as it pertains to my need to practice and all that kind of stuff. So I would waste a lot of time. I'll be honest and say that. I would waste a lot of time. But once I really got serious about my instrument, I really had no idea what I should be practicing on. So I was just kind of aiming, shooting in the dark, so to speak. And so I would spend a lot of time practicing as I got older and as I got more serious about music, but I really had no sense of direction as to what I needed to be practicing on. So everything, a lot of the stuff was self-taught. Trying to network with more advanced players myself. Hope to soak up some knowledge. Yeah, that definitely helps. Getting around somebody and something that I wish I had back then, getting around people who could have steered me in the right direction. Nonetheless, all of that stuff didn't happen. So for me, I dealt with that idea of never being good enough or missing stuff by just a little bit. Like even I was referencing the band situation when I was in grade school. I was in the band. I would try out for competitions. I was always good at playing tuba. That's what I played in a band. I was always good. We did these competitions and stuff, but I would never quite be good enough to be like first in terms of the competition. At my home school, yeah, I would make first chair and that kind of thing. But like when it came to on a larger scale stuff that I felt like really mattered, always be the guy that was like, yeah, you was almost there, but you did this. Or you was almost there, you did that. You didn't quite get this, you didn't quite, and that was pretty much the theme of my whole entire life. So a lot of that caused me to have a lot of self-doubt as it pertains to my playing, as it pertains to my own ability. And I found myself holding back a lot because it was that thought of, well, you're not gonna be, good enough anyway, or that fear subconsciously in the back of my head that made me feel like, I wasn't gonna get it. So all of that stuff was affecting my playing. All of it was affecting my presentation, how I acted on stage. There was never a lot of confidence because when you are always that guy who's never good enough, it's hard to be really confident when you're young. It's hard to show a lot of confidence. And you might be actually good. And that's the trick about the whole issue. You might be really good and you don't give yourself enough credit. But if you're always feeling like you're second best, you're second to everybody else, you're not good enough, you're not measuring up, you don't have the skills and that kind of thing. It's like watching and help from South Korea. Thanks, your groove machine. Thank you. I appreciate that. But if you always operate with that mindset that I am second best, I am not good enough, I don't measure up, and you compare yourself to people, you're gonna lose a lot of years in this music game. You're gonna lose a lot of years. And the thing I wanna encourage you guys today is to know that you haven't seen the greatest version of yourself. Neither have I. But that's the thing that keeps me pushing. Good morning. What's up? No problem. Neither have I. I haven't seen that great version of myself yet that I want to see. Now, I've accomplished a lot of things over the years by pushing through that mindset of not being good enough, by breaking down those walls of thinking that this is the highest that I can go. I'm not gonna ever exceed this time. Like, one of the things you have to do that helped me to break out of that, because I know you guys are, that's nice. You thought that you weren't good enough and all that's great, but how do we get over that? All right, so the thing that you can do to break out of that mindset: one, change the story that you're telling yourself. You have to start changing the story that you're telling yourself. I'm not good enough. If you're saying stuff like that, you're going to always stay in that position of feeling like you're not good enough. If that's always what you're saying, you're going to stay there. You're going to be there for a while, and it's a depressing place. It'll cause you to quit, and some of you may know this as well. It'll cause you to put down your instrument for a few years and then later pick it back up, only to get depressed again and put it down and then pick it back up. Y'all know the thing you do. You go through this mental thing of, oh man, I feel like I'm getting there, and then you'll hear somebody, some little 3-year-old kid that just picked it up last week and he can play better than you. So now you put your bass back in the case and go apply for a job at Walmart or something. I'm being funny. But the thing is, there's always, what's up, Mexico City? I see you. There's always going to be something or somebody that makes you, or that has the potential, let me change that has the potential to make you feel like you're not measuring up. So the thing to keep in front of you is to not be chasing this person, not to be chasing. I get comments all the time from people who say, man, I wish I could play like you, or I wish I could be as good as you one day. And they don't know, what was that, to play, I missed that. Christopher, I know that was, you said something, to play with better musicians ain't comfortable, but one key for progression. Yep, that's definitely helpful, Chris. But one of the things I noticed for me in terms of that, I almost completely lost my train of thought. One of the things I noticed for me in terms of getting better and changing that story about myself, once I started chasing who I saw myself becoming, you have to visualize, you have to get that person. If you have people that inspire you to reach a certain thing, because you do have to have a destination, a target, but that person shouldn't be your target. You shouldn't be saying like, man, I wish I could play like Jermaine. That's cool. But you don't know, I'm sitting looking like, man, I wish I could play better than how I play. I'm not really completely satisfied with how I sound. And that's not in a sense of, I hate the way I sound, I suck. It's not that. It's just, I know there's better. There's a version of me that's way better than the current version of myself that I hear. And when I hear other people play, I don't get depressed anymore, or I don't get like put down thinking like, man, I ain't gonna ever be that good. It's like I'm saying, okay, I can do that. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some hard work, but I can do that. So when you hear somebody that seems like they're complete, what's up, North Carolina? When you see somebody that seems like they're completely out of your league in terms of their ability to play or something like that, that doesn't mean you can't ever reach that pinnacle of playing. You just have to push yourself and say to yourself, man, I can do that. I can do that, but don't fool yourself now. Don't just say and hype yourself. I know there's some people on here who might be overconfident, and you're saying stuff that you can't deliver on. Now, don't overshoot it in terms of the sense of saying I can do something, but at the same time, you know, being honest with yourself, you don't put in that type of work. You don't have that type of work ethic. You don't work on your playing enough to say or to justify saying, hey, I'm going to be that good. Because it does take a lot of work. It takes a lot of effort to make sure that you're going to be able to reach that goal, however you see yourself being. Just like a person that plays basketball. Some of you may play sports as pastime. You're looking at Michael Jordan, or you're looking at Kobe, or you're looking at LeBron, you're looking at Steph, and you're saying, oh man, I can do that. Or I can ball, I can hoop. But if you're not putting in the time, if you're not putting in the effort, you have the potential to do that. Yes, all of us have the potential to do something that we're already good at, but if you're not putting in that effort that they're putting in, that same amount of grind, that same amount of dedication to your craft, you're not going to get there. And so that story that you're telling yourself, it might actually end up being true, not because you're not capable of getting there, but because you're not putting in the work, you're not putting in the time, you're not putting in the effort to get to that place. Let me see. I'm missing some comments. Thanks for the positive motivation. No problem, Kelvin. I'm definitely not one of them. To play with musicians who are leading teachers also. Oh, okay. Who are leading teaches you also a lot about you. Yeah, it does. It helps you to point out. It helps you to see, kind of like the coaching thing. I'm doing. You guys know I'm doing the coaching calls. If you're not a part of that, I encourage you to become a part of that. With the coaching calls, all the coach is doing. The whole point, some of you may not have a clue, what is coaching? What is that about? Now, I've been hearing everybody talking about that. And the only reason I did it is because I realized I've been doing it for years and didn't know that I was technically doing it. That's not the only reason I did it, but that's one of the main reasons I wanted to make myself available to people who wouldn't normally have access to me or wouldn't normally have access to the information. And basically with the coaching idea, to make a point, is just having that other person around you to kind of point out some things you may not notice about yourself. Kind of like if you were in sports or if you were playing football, or if you were tackling somebody and you know you're not putting your shoulder down far enough, or if you're getting ready to do some type of a move in basketball and they're saying, man, you kind of starting out dribbling with the wrong hand. You should be doing this or doing that. You know what I'm saying? Get stronger in your left hand so you can cross over if you need to. That way you can shake somebody off of you a little bit quicker. I'm no basketball player, but you know, those type of things, having a coach, somebody that can look at you and can look at where you're kind of falling off or some things that you need to be capitalizing on, that has a better vision for where it is you're trying to go, or they can give you some better insights, some better resources to help you get to where you're trying to go. Because a lot of times looking at ourselves, we can't see that. And if you're not in a situation where you have somebody that can help you or that can be honest with you, and people are not telling, oh man, yeah, you good, man, you awesome, man. It's good to have encouragement, but it's also good to have people around you who may tell you, yeah, you're not ready. You're not ready for this. The thing that you're trying to do, you're not ready because you don't have the work ethic. You're not disciplined enough. You're not putting in enough time. You don't practice enough. You don't even work on your tone enough. You need people that are going to be honest with you, and you have to be honest with yourself in order to grow, in order to get past that whole idea. Let's see here. March Angel, I'm finding out that if you're passionate about what you're doing, people will appreciate that more than your ability. Yeah, they do appreciate the passion about it. They absolutely do. And that's another thing I've learned over the years. People do appreciate the passion. But how is that affecting you? And what I know that's like a long silence with that, but I'm saying that nothing wrong with passion. I love that, and I love to see passionate people who are passionate about what they do. Obviously, when it comes from a passionate place, it's coming from a more real place, and it's not about the skill necessarily. But if you're pushing to get to a certain point, what are you doing to push yourself to that desired goal? You know, beyond that passion, because we all are passionate. I might be passionate about playing, but I'm still stuck where I was 4 years ago. I'm no better. I'm not growing. And at some point, I'm going to start becoming a hindrance to the people that's around me. That doesn't take away the fact that I'm still passionate about it. That doesn't take away the fact that I still love what I do. But what am I doing as well to completely push the envelope on who I am or who I have the potential to be, as opposed to who I currently am? I think the thing that we have to be careful about and accept at the same time, it's one of those catch-22s. It's like complacency. It's totally okay in one sense to be complacent or to be good with where you are. Like, okay, I'm good, I'm confident, this is who I am. I'm comfortable in my own skin. I'm not trying to be this player. I'm not trying to be that player. I'm comfortable with me. Yes, that's great. That's great that you are complacent and you are comfortable. But complacency can also put us in a place. And I'm not saying whoever made that comment about being passionate, I'm not calling you or anybody else complacent. I'm just making a point, just for clarity. But I'm saying the thing that we have to be careful of is that we don't get too complacent to the point that we stop growing. And I see that happen with so many people who are really, really good at what they do. And after a while, that passion didn't necessarily leave, but they got complacent. And the passion for growing kind of started dwindling away. So now they're not pushing as hard, and things are changing around them, because remember, change is inevitable. Things are always going to change, so you have to keep growing. And I think we can become so complacent that we stop growing, and once we stop growing, we're no longer reaching after the next greatest version of ourselves. And I think we should always be striving to get towards that next version of who we are, that next version of me as a bass player. To me, at this level of my playing, and I get people all the time, man, I love the way you sound, I love this, I love that. And as much as I appreciate that, as much as I'm humbled by that, I don't want to sound the same next year, this time next year. Me personally, I don't want to, and what I mean by that, I don't want to go down, I don't want to sound any worse, but I don't want to be in the same place when you hear me next year than I was this year. Now, does that mean that I have to show off and show everybody everything that I can do? You know what I'm saying? I don't have to show off and show everything I can do next year. But to me personally, I want to make sure that I have whatever necessary tools. If I want to reach out and get something else and pull this out, I can do it. And it's a no-brainer. It's not something that I'm struggling with. Things that I'm struggling with this year, I should have overcame those things by next year or by next month, by making those little short goals. Like, okay, in 3 months, where do you see yourself being? You know what I'm saying? You making goals, you making the effort to make the progress for yourself. You doing the necessary things. Okay, I'm gonna get up now because I feel like I'm behind in my playing, or I feel like I'm behind where I could be. For the next month, I'm gonna put in 3 hours a day. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna sacrifice some sleep. I'm gonna sacrifice some time watching TV. I'm gonna sacrifice this. I'm gonna sacrifice that. And I'm gonna put in 3 hours a day because I wanna be the best version of myself. Or even if it's not playing, some of you guys might be good on the practicing. Y'all are actually killing the practicing and learning. You're hungry, you're getting the wisdom, you logging on to the broadcast every week, you're getting lessons, you're checking out my stuff, you're checking out other people's stuff, you're putting the practice time in. You might be good there, but where are you in your health? You know what I'm saying? Where are you in your mind in terms of making better decisions? Where are you in your finances in terms of doing things that move you forward? So it's not just all about music, because musicians, a lot of us who are professionals, the practicing is not the part. It's the decision making around everything else that's the problem. Figuring out how to make sure I manage my time better, how to create other source of income, how to do other things. Like, where are we in those things, not just music related? Because some of us are good on the music tip. We're good. We're good on the spiritual tip. But we're out of shape. We're unhealthy. What good is it to be the best player you can be next year and you die because you're completely out of shape, or you completely off with your health? Granted, if it's your time to go, it's your time to go, but you don't want to speed up the process. That's the only thing I'm saying. So we have to make sure we're looking at all of these things and making sure that we're implementing the best version of ourselves in every area, not just music. I'm not here to just try to make you guys a great bass player or to give you all the tools to help you to become the greatest bass player in the world. I hope that you gain some tools from me that help you to become a great bass player or a great musician all around. But at the end of the day, good morning. I see you, Charlotte, Bruce. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure that I'm giving you resources and tools that help move you forward as an individual. Am I your pastor? Am I your counselor? No, I'm none of that. But since I have your ear, I'd rather give you things that are going to move you forward holistically, rather than just only focusing on just music. Because music is great, but that's not the end all. You have a life after, after all of this is over with. After you finish the gig, you still have to live. You still have to deal with yourself. You still have to deal with the mental, like, case in point. Once you get off stage, whatever level you're on, whatever gig you're playing, how do you deal with the mental, and this is a rhetorical question, obviously, but how do you deal with the mental fatigue of, man, this wasn't my best gig, or man, the crowd didn't respond, or man, I felt like I sucked tonight. How do you get over that? How do you get out of that depression slump? Because if you keep practicing that enough, that's going to become a sense of depression for you. And before you know it, you'll start going down and down and down. Every time you play, you go lower and lower. And before you know it, your self-esteem as a player will go to the floor. Like it'll be, I know from experience. You keep beating yourself up, especially perfectionists. You keep beating yourself up for every performance. And before you know it, you won't be able to find anything good from anything that you did in that performance. So before you get off of here, you might want to get a piece of paper. If some of you take notes on your phone, if you're watching this on your phone, obviously you can't do that. But if you have a piece of paper, write these things down. I want to get you to do this. At the end of the day, if you're not already doing this, take out a sheet of paper or take a journal or something like that, a little notebook, and start writing down 10 things that you did well that day. Start the day off with saying, okay, these are 10 things that I want to accomplish. Whether it's in your playing, whether it's in your health, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's in your mental, your thinking. I want to talk to myself better today. I want to treat my kids a little better today. I want to have a little more patience with my kids. I want to give my wife a little bit more time. I want to give my husband a little bit more time. I ain't got no husband, y'all know what I mean. So you know what I'm saying? It's those things. So I want you to take time out to do that. So start your morning off, even map your day out. Kind of have an idea of some things you want to get done. Start checking those things off. Put practicing in your day. Put working out, add that to your day. This is your body. You only get one. You only get one shot of your body. Like, make that part of your day. If you work a 9 to 5, you got to be at work at 7 in the morning, and you know you got to leave home at 6, and you're getting up already at 5 o'clock in the morning. Maybe you should get up at 4:30. I know that's tough, or maybe you should plan to stay up an extra hour at night to make sure you're working out, to make sure you're practicing, to make sure you're putting this time in. But my whole point is write these things down. Write out 10 things that you want to get accomplished that day, and then write out another 10 things. So for the end of the day, you can write down 10 things that I did well, 10 things that I'm happy about, 10 things that made me feel good about myself, or even after your performances. This is another thing you can jot down. After your performances, write down, after you, we can call it performance or ministry or whatever the case may be. If you play in church, I know I have a lot of church musicians that follow me. If you play at church, assess how you did, but not in a negative sense. Be honest with yourself, but give yourself credit at the same time, because we're good at pulling ourselves down. Man, I suck today. I'm the world's worst at times. But if you could look at that situation and look at your performance and say, okay, all right, I did really well on this song. I was really prepared for that song. I tried a lick in this song I really didn't know. You know, not necessarily I didn't know. I tried a lick that I wasn't comfortable with before, but I nailed it today, and I did a really good job on it. I've been practicing it all week, and I was confident. I didn't get nervous, and when I did the lick, I came back to the one. I knew I was at in the song. I didn't get lost. Give yourself credit for those little things, and as you begin to have these small wins, little by little, you're giving yourself credit for the little things, the little small wins. I won here. I won here. I won here. At the end of the day, you start building that confidence in these areas. And then also write out who you see yourself becoming over the next 3 months. What steps are you planning to take to get there? Seriously, like what steps are you planning to take to get there? If you looked at last month, if you looked at July, look at the things you did right in July, look at the things you did wrong in July, and look at the things of that month that I definitely don't want to repeat in August. Write those things down, get them in front of you so you are aware of those things, so you definitely make sure that you don't start doing those things anymore. That way you don't waste any of your time. You don't have to live with this regret from month to month knowing that, man, I really messed up there. Or, man, I really spent too much money at, Wendy's, McDonald's, or KFC, or whatever the case may be. I did too much of this and I shouldn't have been doing that. So now I need to spend a little bit more time focusing on these things, because these things are going to move me forward. So these are just some things, guys, that you can start to do that help you get through. Man, no problem, Bo. But these are, I know I missed some other, comments. Let's see here. passionate, but I want to be more than that. That's why I'm here. I see you, Jay. Not quite good enough. Let the door open to grow in your skill. Yep, Chris. Um, March Angel, no problem. Bruce, I see you. I think I already spoke. But yeah, so these are just some things that you can start to implement now. Forgive me, stumbling over my words, but these are things that you can start to implement now. And listen, guys, if you're finding any of this stuff helpful, I love to get more personal with a lot more of you on a one-on-one basis. These are the type of things my coaching calls are about. Helping you, really talking to you through not getting in your business, not getting your personal life. I'm not interested in trying to run anybody's life. So that's not what it's about. It's not about me trying to tell anybody what to do, but me giving you some things that I had to learn the hard way over the years that have literally helped me to reshape the way I think. I feel like I come from a bad mentality, and not because anybody in my family were bad people or anything like that, but simply because of ignorance. There was a lot of ignorance. People just did not know. So I'm fighting through years, or I fought rather through years of ignorance, and I'm still learning. I read tons of books. And let me say this, if any of you follow me on social media, you know I kind of post from time to time what I'm reading. I hated reading. When I was in school, I hated reading. I did not read. If there was a shortcut, I was looking for any type of shortcut possible to not have to read books, because I hated reading books. I didn't grow up in an environment where people were reading when I was younger. People didn't read a lot when I was growing up. As I got older, my mom was reading books, and she was into a lot of more stuff, reading a lot of different material, but that didn't pass down to me. So I immediately I didn't get that, because I'm like, man, I'm good. I ain't not trying to do this reading thing. But as I began to change, and I began to see the value in myself, and I began to see my own self-worth, it showed me some little holes in my own character, some things that I need to be working on, some things that I need to be getting better at, because I'm like, this can't continue to be a thing. I can't continue to not read and expect to be better, especially with me being a husband, me being a father, me being a leader, me being a music director, me being a producer, me being a songwriter. All of these things are necessary for me to improve myself. And with these skills, these things that I'm implementing to other people, I have to be smarter than what I was when I graduated from high school or when I graduated from college. I have to be smarter than that. So I have to dig. I have to read. I have to empower my mind. I can't operate in my finances with a person that has a mindset of a college graduate. That you might say that sounds crazy. No, I can't, because if my information for finances stopped at when I graduated from college, man, that was in 2007. It's 2019. That means I've missed a whole bunch of stuff from then until now. So which means I need to keep educating myself on money, educate myself on how to better use my time, educate myself on how to empower my mind so I make better decisions to move myself, my family, all of them forward. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to give you guys a lecture, but these are some of the things that I share with the coaching calls. So if you're interested in that, be sure to check out that as well. It's not necessarily music related. So it's not me sitting on a phone call or a Skype call with you and me playing the bass. It's not about that at all. It's about me giving you some practical stuff that helps move you forward, because you're going to get the lessons. You're going to get better as a musician. That's a no-brainer. But you might need some resources. You might need some guidance. You might need some direction on, man, where do I go from here? What am I missing? What am I doing that I'm not noticing? Because a lot of times I can hear what somebody's talking about, and just hearing the way that they talk tells me a lot about their mindset and where they are and how they're thinking wrong. And I can tell you just quickly, okay, you're doing this, or you're thinking that way, and that might be causing this problem. Do I know everything? No, I don't. I don't have all the answers. But one thing I am doing is I'm digging. I'm finding and I'm learning, and I'm pulling from as many resources as I can, as well as my own life experiences. And I know the things that I've experienced as an individual, I have the potential to help so many more people than I've helped because of what I had to go through and what I had to learn the hard way. So if I can save you some time, if I can save you some years, I love to, and that's why I'm here. So I don't mind giving this information on these live broadcasts. And do me a favor as well, if you're still here, be sure to comment or send me a direct message. You can send it on YouTube. You can send it on Facebook. You can send it on Instagram. Some topics that you may want me to talk about in our live broadcast, because I love to hear from you. This is us talking, interactive. It ain't just me just giving you everything, me. I want to hear from you, some things that you might be dealing with, some things you might be struggling with as a musician or whatever, and you want me to kind of hit on in the live broadcast. I love to talk. I love to share it. So be sure to send me an email, to send me a direct message, and let's figure out how we can work these things into our discussions. But anyway, I think that's pretty much it for today. I got some other things I have to do. Let's see here. Let me go back. All right. I see Joash Abraham. Your encouraging practices really mean a lot to me. Stay blessed, my man. Man, thank you. New Zealand, man. I appreciate that. I want to come to New Zealand soon, man. It seems like a really, really cool place. Thank you for this conversation. Your clinical goal setting strategy is very good advice. It's self-evaluate, motivational interviewing. Well, Jack, I appreciate that, man. How to use diminished scale with the solo. Okay, we'll try to dig into that. I'm gonna try to make sure. Can you do me a favor? Make sure you comment, because sometimes these comments go away when I go back and watch the replay. Either send me that in a direct message so I can make sure that I can, put it, because with a whole bunch of comments flying at the same time, sometimes I don't see them. But if you send it to me in a direct message, oh yeah, and if you guys are on Instagram or Facebook and you're not following me, I'm Jermaine Morgan on Facebook. I got 2 pages. I have an artist page, and my personal page is maxed out, so I probably won't see you. You can follow me there, but I might not see your message. But if you follow my artist page, I probably will see your message as well. I'm J Morgan Bass on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, you can send me a message there. J Morgan Bass on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, you can send me a message there. So any topic suggestions that you may have, send them to me. I can't promise I'm gonna get to all of them right away, but we got time. We're here, we have time, and I'm here every week with these live broadcasts. Y'all already know, if I don't do it on Tuesday, I'll let you know, and we'll reschedule for Wednesday or something like that, or whenever it works according to my schedule. Hey, man, thank you for this. See you next time. My pleasure, Bo. Nathaniel Smalls. Good morning. Getting better because of you and your hard work. Man, that means a lot, man. Thank you. J-Rom, should I get your membership, bro? I've been watching your YouTube. If so, what's the actual website? You should definitely get the membership. Jay, that's JermaineMorgan.net. Check out JermaineMorgan.net. Jermaine MORGAN.net. So if you can't find that, go back to my channel after this video, and I'm pretty sure all of my videos has me talking about the website. But yeah, JermaineMorgan.net. It's that simple. And definitely join the monthly membership. What can I use to maintain the surface of my bass and strings? Simple thing you can do is just use a towel. Use a towel. After you finish playing, wipe your strings down with a towel, just to get the oil and the grit and stuff out of them. And you can also use, if you have those alcohol wipes, you can take some alcohol wipes after each time you play. Take some alcohol wipes and just wipe your strings down. That's another good way to get the sweat and stuff out of your strings. And then when you take the strings off to change the strings, you can use oil. You can use some type of there's tongue oil that I've used from Warrior. It's like anointed oil from Warrior that I use, but you can also use like tongue oil. There's another type of oil that you can use, like some people have used furniture polish, but there's different type of furniture oils that you can use. And if anybody else have any other suggestions, please drop them in the comments as well. But also steel wool to keep your fretboard and stuff clean. You can use like steel wool. You can find it at like a Walmart or Target or something like that. Use that to clean your fretboard, and that gets all that green stuff. Some of y'all got green stuff around your frets on your bass. Make sure you clean all that stuff off when you take your strings off. That keeps your bass not being disgusted when you're playing. But yeah, it can also help to kind of clean up some of that bad sound you got going on there. So those are just some things you can do to kind of help to keep your bass maintained. If you have a bass that's natural wood, that's why I was talking about the oils. If you have natural wood, but if you have a surface that has more glossy finish, just keep your rag handy to just wipe it down. If you have that more glossy finish, just use that a little rag or something to keep with you. A little polished cloth. You can get them from the guitar store. A polished cloth like that, that's a little bit more made for that kind of stuff. It's polyester. And that's better for those surfaces so you don't scratch it with the towel. You know what I'm saying? Depending on the color and stuff of your bass. So, yep. I'm saying somebody's already emailing me now. I see them, the notification popping up. So, yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. I got to run. Definitely got to run. But it's been fun talking with y'all today. And I see some comments. I'm going to hit these comments real quick and I got to run. All right. Izzy, I see you. Oscar, good morning, my friend. Thank you for sharing this wisdom. God bless you. God bless you too, Oscar, man. J. Ron, membership is good. Okay, that ain't to me. But, man, thank you, Nathaniel. Nate is my go-to guy, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yep, that steel wool works great. It works great for keeping your fretboard clean. Anyway, guys, I got to run. I will catch y'all on the next live broadcast. And be sure I'll post a video this week. Be sure to watch that. If you hadn't watched the shout video that I posted on this weekend, be sure to go back and watch that, because there's definitely some stuff you want to see there. And if you watch that video, it'll definitely be helpful to you if you're trying to learn some more gospel stuff, some more shout music techniques. I do have a course that deals with that, but you'll learn all of that. I'm not going to talk about that right now. You'll learn all of that in the video when you go back and watch that. So anyway, guys, I will see y'all on the next broadcast. Somebody else said something. Sorry, Jay. How can I minimize buzz noise? You might need to address adjusting your string height. Victor Wooten put out something on Instagram. If you follow Victor Wooten on Instagram, he gave a quick little tip on how to adjust your string height by using these. He gave a quick little tutorial, and instead of me basically trying to deal with and explaining it right now. But yeah, he gave something that's quick. But you might need to adjust your string height if you're getting a lot of buzzing. That might be that, or you need to check your intonation. Mine is here on my bass, this truss rod that needs to be adjusted. It could possibly need to adjust it if your neck is warping. You may have a warp in your neck because of the weather changes and stuff. If you've been leaving your bass in different extreme weather conditions, or if the wood hasn't settled, or if it has settled and it's been never been adjusted in years, sometimes that neck can warp, and you need to adjust the intonation, adjust the string height. Those things could be affecting your buzz. But if it's just like regular strings vibrating, you could use a fret wrap to kind of eliminate some of that when you're playing in the higher registers. But it sounds like from what you're saying, it could be an issue of string height. You may need to adjust. Your strings might be too low. I don't know why I keep using my computer to do this. All right. I said I'm going to go. All right. Big ups. Yes, sir, Floyd. We'll see you guys. I'm out of here. Thank y'all, man, for hanging around with me. I'm out. Peace.